What's going on, people? So, as you may hear, still, I mentioned this in one of these videos, people are outside doing some kind of work, super inconvenient to me, so if you hear a bunch of extra noise, that's what's going on. I'm gonna try, and probably fail, to speak louder through this video to like override that, but we'll see how it plays out. This right here, side of the box and whatnot, in case you're interested in seeing that, there you go. Now we're gonna jump on into this. I don't think this review should be too long or whatever, but I don't know. I mean, I say that because it's a new thing, but I also don't have a lot to say about it, right? But we'll see how it all works out, right? This right here, it is the Asics-Gel Kinsei Max in blue and thunder blue and electric lime. Yeah. For some reason, I've been making no effort whatsoever when it comes to remembering these shoe colors. I should probably stop doing that and start putting in some actual effort, right? Might come off more professional. Whatever. I am going to start this review with the bottom. Down there, what are you looking at? It's actually a pretty decent little outsole. It kind of reminds me a lot of something that I've seen in the past. I just can't think of what it was, but I'm leaning towards one of those trail Asics that I had reviews up for last year, something like that. But otherwise, plain green, right? You saw that. Moving along. On the midsole here, the midsole takes a nice little departure from some of the past things I've been talking about, at least lately. So you got a sort of a split action thing, especially when you get towards the back end area, right? You can see some of the gel and stuff. I do like being able to see the gel on these Asics gel shoes. It's just kind of cool. And then, well, we'll get into some of the other stuff once I go through the review piece. But yeah, it's a cool look, and it's what drew my attention to it, honestly. Now, here's some pictures real quick so you can kind of see these and whatnot. I mean, I get that there's not a lot design-wise going on here, whatever, and a quick glimpse is all you really need. But I slipped these pictures in there anyways just because it seems like it could potentially be helpful, right? I don't think it's going to hurt anything, so it's like, yeah, why not? Let's just do that. But whatever, it's a simple shoe, and so we're just going to move on into the review and stuff, get this thing knocked out. So overall, right, looking at these here, knit-wise and stuff on the toe box area, this is one of those things like I was mentioning before where it's kind of a slimmer build, right? So if you take a look at the, well, actually, why use that one? I'll just use the one over here. So looking at the toe box area on both of these, obviously this one is the Kayano 31, a little bit wider, right? You know, more breathability and stuff. And you're going to see that all throughout, sure. But that's just a thing that's going on there. These aren't built for the same amount of breathability as these, so it's not a real problem, you know what I'm saying? You're getting what's advertised. Moving along past that, on the side here, you got this nice little Asics logo, right? So it's going to be, almost looks like it's just kind of painted on as far as like the way they did this material-wise or whatever. Well, on the inside anyways. On the outside, you do have a nice little overlay where it's got like a little bit of a texture to it, so I do like that more so than the inside anyway. And then that just goes into like the labeling on the back end because it doesn't have like an actual heel design thing like the other ones did. But anyways, moving on, since we're on the back piece, right? You do have a pull tab back there. This one isn't all stretchy like the like this one, you know, it's got like some stretch to it. This one is very much like your standard heel tab where it's just there, right? It's not moving. It does have a little bit of reflectivity on the top, on the back piece, so you got that happening, right? But past that, overall, looking at the rear end of the shoe, right? It's the normal look until you get to the bottom, and then it's like, oh, what's going on here, right? Because you kind of got like this little split down here between the gel. So it's a cool look, right? I do like it, so whatever. Moving on, jumping back over to the upper piece, well, the front laces piece of the upper. So that, you have standard laces on here like you had on the last one. Slightly different laces themselves, but very, very close in presentation, right? And one thing that you'll see around those laces, which are just all blue throughout, right, is on the side, like you do have a combination of lace holes and also these little like ropey things, right? So I don't know if that works like Flywire did on like Nikes or anything, or if that's just there just serving the no more purpose than just holding them in place. But I always get a little concerned about stuff like that. 'Cause I'm like, man, if these things break or rip or something, that's not going to be okay. But I feel like this quality is going to be fine enough to hold them in there. So I wouldn't think too much about it. Anyways, behind that, the tongue, it's got a nice breathability thing going on, right? Very thin and all that, kind of stretchy. So I do like that happening. And then as you get to the top of it says Asics and then Kinsei, but you gotta kind of break it down for yourself in there, because like it's not fully written out normally like it was on the side, right? Then on the back, sound mind, sound body, because that's what the Asics motto is. So there you go. And now we'll jump onto the inside real quick here. Sock liner wise, it's pretty decent, right? Nothing amazing, standard running shoe type stuff, right? Nothing to write home about. Down there on the inside, once again, green text, black background. Same as the Nimbus 9s that I started the day with. So there we go. That is pretty much everything to talk about there. So I'm going to move on past that, hit you guys with some personal thoughts, and then move on into the sizing and the comfort, right? Same as we always do. Well, same as I mostly do. Personally, these right here are pretty alright in my opinion, right? It's a slightly different construction and everything, but you know, that's the thing about running shoes. You'll see a lot of different things, and these are at the same price point of the Kayano 31. Well, they're $5 cheaper at $180 versus $185, but as far as just looking at them, you're going to get a different sort of thing based on how you run and whatnot, is where you need to look at things to see which one is for you, right? There's also some other stuff that I'll get into when the actual sizing piece, because then it'll make more sense to talk about it. But as far as these go, I saw them. The back end piece, like the whole split back there, was intriguing. I was like, oh, that's cool. I haven't tried those out. It's a running shoe. I like to try the different ones. So yeah, I picked them up, got them in hand, looking them over and stuff, taking the pictures the other day. Yeah, they're pretty nice. There's not a whole lot of flash and pizzazz behind these things, but I feel like they're going to work out pretty well for what they were designed to do. So there is that. And maybe you don't always need a whole lot of flash for your footwear, right? Sometimes you just want something that's subtle. And these, especially the color options that they give you, will give you that. But past that, as far as like the price point and whatnot, it's a little up there for something, in my opinion. Sure, you know, that just seems like a lot of dollars. But I think that for what it is and for what you're paying for it, kind of makes sense to me, at least in today's economy and stuff, right? So there is that piece. But all in all, wrapping it up, putting a nice little bow on it, I like them and I have no complaints. So leave with that. Regardless of whatever else you may have heard, leave with that. Now, moving on past all that stuff, giving you some stuff to think about with the sizing. Hey, that noise stopped. That's cool. Giving you some stuff to think about with the sizing and whatnot. We're going to do that piece. And then, moving on. Sizing wise, I bought these in a 9.5, as I often do, because my foot size is 9.5, right? And it's working out. It's working out just fine. No complaints, right? It's a slimmer build, like I said before, than say the Kayano 31 and certain other things, but that's not a bad thing. Sometimes you want that, right? In some ways, I actually kind of prefer it. Standard walking or whatever, the Kayano 31 might be better, but running, I feel like this is going to be more preferred, at least for me. Also, on that same note, right? In the midsole, one of the things that separates these from the others, they have this TPU plate in there, right? I've said before that certain running shoes, I don't care for walking around in them. I feel like this is going to be one of them. If you buy this and you're walking around in it and it kind of hurts your foot, that's likely why. Because you can feel that plate in there, right? It runs from about the front of the Asics logo to about where like the gel stuff starts in the back. It's not great, right? But if you're moving quickly, you won't notice it, which is where the running comes in. The plate is there to kind of help propel you through the runs anyway. So that's why I would say this isn't so much of a good shoe for walking around in. Not to talk down on it, but hey, it is what it is. But otherwise, it feels pretty comfortable. I just can't really overall speak on the actual comfort and stuff until I get these out on the track or something like that. But they're still nice, they're still lightweight, they're still breathable, just not as much as certain other things. But for these, again, a lot of the technology that they're bringing is down here in the midsole that you can't quite see. But I've heard some good things, right? Just from like the reviews I saw on like somewhere, right? Like where you see people like rating stuff with stars or whatever. But none of that really means a whole lot to me personally. I just kind of like to see what I think, because that's the most important, honestly. Now, past that, just everything that I was talking about here, these are a running shoe, right? They're made for running. They're not so much made for walking. So if you pick up a pair of these, keep that in mind. And not everybody's going to have the same experience, right? My feet might react differently than yours will. And don't take that with every shoe that has a plate in it. Different plates are made of different materials. Different shoes have different builds overall. It's just a thing to consider. Is that fair? I think that's fair. But anyways, that's enough out of me as far as the sizing and whatnot and the comfort on these things here. I got no complaints, but I'll have to do a follow-up once I actually do something with them, you know, which hopefully will be in the next couple weeks. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, wherever you are. I'm done recording things today. Might knock out a live thing later. I don't know, I said that before and then I didn't do it, so this might be one of those days again. But if you see one, then it happened. If you don't, then it didn't. Right? Later, people.